Hello and welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras.
And I'm Natasha Kirchak. Coming up in today's newscast, Election Day is here and Israelis are heading to the polls to vote.
Thousands of Israeli police are deployed to ensure safe voting.
And Israel's most famous psychic reveals who she believes is going to win the elections. Election Day has returned and Israelis are heading to the ballots across the country to vote. Now, Israel has an eligible 6.3 million voters and over 10,000 stations have been open to them since 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's right, but voter turnout was originally expected to be lower this time around, with statistics showing that an estimated 67% of Israelis are casting their ballot, almost 2% down from the elections in April.
But the turnout for national elections has hit 36.5% as of 2 p.m. That's 0.7 points or percentage points ahead of the same hour in the April 9th race. So it looks like voter apathy may not be as much of an issue as we expected.
No, I know I voted.
I voted too.
Did you vote yet?
No, I'm going to now to vote.
Have you voted yet today?
No, on the way.
כבר הצבעת?
לא, עכשיו אני הולכת להצביע.
ולמי את הולכת להצביע?
לכחול לבן.
אתה הצבעת כבר היום?
כן.
ולמי הצבעת?
לביבי.
Have you voted yet today?
Yes.
And who did you vote for?
מרץ, ברק.
אז את כבר הצבעת היום?
כן, הצבעתי.
למי הצבעת?
לזהות.
אתה הצבעת היום?
לא,
ולמה לא?
אני לא מאמין בלהצביע.
באמת?
כן.
Did you vote today?
Yeah, yes I did.
Who'd you vote for?
I voted for Benny Gantz.
כן, הספקתי להצביע.
ולמי הצבעת?
לביבי.
לא הצבעתי היום,
ולמה לא?
כי זה פחות מעניין אותי.
נצביע בערב.
ולמי תצביעו?
בעזרת השם לביבי.
Who are you going to vote for today?
Anyone except ביבי.
חד משמעית ביבי.
רק כחול לבן. למי אתה הצבעת? אני לא...
ביבי, בנימין נתניהו.
I think that I go for Gantz.
Who are you planning on voting for?
כחול לבן, of course.
The Democratic camp.
חייבים ללכת להצביע.
נכון?
Of course, the various politicians were among the first to cast their votes in what is expected to be a very tight race. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who became the longest-serving Israeli prime minister in history this summer, will likely attempt to cobble together a right-wing and Jewish Orthodox coalition, with Yamina, United Torah Judaism, and Shas endorsing his leadership.
אני יכול לאפשר לכם הבוקר הן צמודות מאוד. אני קורא לכל אזרחי ישראל לבוא ולהצביע. כמו שאני ואשתי באנו להצביע. לא אומר לכם מה, כן? שיהיה בהצלחה. תודה.
בוקר טוב.
The Israeli Prime Minister has called an emergency meeting, however, over the purported rush on the polls by so-called leftists and Arabs.
He's warning that the joint Arab party list is on track to win 15 seats, the highest ever showing for Arab candidates.
Meanwhile, political opponent Benny Gantz of the Blue and White Party, along with Yisrael Beitenu party leader Avigdor Lieberman, are campaigning on a platform of forming a left-wing government or a unity government without the Orthodox and possibly without Netanyahu, even if the Likud is a party that would be part of such unity.
שלום לכם. הצבעתם כבר? כל הכבוד לכם. שיהיה לנו בהצלחה. רוצו הביתה, תחפשו אצל השכנים, תראו מה קורה, תגידם יאללה חבר'ה, לצאת מהאדישות, להצביע.
But blue and white officials claim figures in left-leaning Tel Aviv are down by 2.5 percentage points from the April race, and high turnout in the city is a key part to the party's campaign strategy.
The day is heavily marked by déjà vu, as Netanyahu failed to secure the necessary 61 mandates during the previous negotiations, and rather than let another politician attempt to negotiate a coalition of their own, the country has returned to repeat elections today. The first such repeat elections in Israeli history, by the way.
So as the tight race draws to a close, all eyes are actually on Israeli President Rivlin, who will reportedly be more invested this time around in avoiding going to elections for a third time.
It's largely suspected that in the event of the stalemate, Rivlin will coerce the party leaders to figure it out one way or another. So far, however, Rivlin's primary message is just to go out and vote.
Happy Election Day. This is a holiday, celebration of democracy. The only one to decide upon are the people of Israel, the voters.
As today's voting unfolds, the Central Elections Committee has deployed a remarkable number of police officers to make sure that things go smoothly.
And here to give us the scoop is Shanna Fuld. So tell us, Shanna, what did the police do to keep everything in line today?
So there are 20,000 cops that are out patrolling the over 10,000 polling stations around the country. This was a contentious race, and the police department wanted to make sure that everybody was going to be able to vote safely today. In addition to that, there are 3,000 cameras attached to observers at polling stations so that they can catch photographic evidence of anything that has gone awry.
Well, cameras at polling stations have obviously been a major point of tension, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So within the last 2 weeks, there was a major push from the Likud party to get cameras from specific parties so that to basically eliminate voter fraud. But the elections committee said, that's redundant. We have 3,000 of our own cameras, and we don't need any partisan parties getting involved.
But that's actually like the least of the issues that we've heard today. We've also heard, for example, an issue between Ayelet Shaked and Otzma Yehudit, with some sort of, text messaging
An illegal
campaign.
text messaging campaign.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So this is pretty good. So actually, Ayelet Shaked from the Yamina party said that Otzma Yehudit has been sending text messages pretending that they are the Yamina, and the text reads, at our last consultation, we decided to give 2 Knesset seats to Otzma Yehudit. Please act accordingly. And the message signed off saying that it was from Yamina's staff. So Shaked said this is a major issue. She filed a petition, and she wants to know who's responsible for this.
Right, because basically the idea was that the Otzma Yehudit party was trying to take, votes from Yamina. Very strange, but that's not all that's getting heated up, right? There are other people who are upset here.
This has been such a crazy day. So basically, there were a lot of parties on the beaches of Tel Aviv campaigning today, saying, "Get off of the beach, get out of the water."
Literally hot.
It was literally hot and contentious. Get off of the beach, go get your votes in, and you should take a look at this video where you can see Yair Lapid. He's second in command for Blue and White. He is literally campaigning right to the last minute.
Oh, wow, look at him. All right. And Prime Minister Netanyahu also hit the streets, too.
Yeah.
Take a look at this video of Benjamin Netanyahu at the central bus station in Jerusalem, trying to get in any of those last-minute votes he can.
Wow, people really want to get a photo with him.
Seriously.
I mean, that's not all that happened.
There have been tons of problems.
Yeah, I mean, Ayelet Shaked also got into another argument with the Democratic camp chair, Nitzan Horowitz, on the street. It was a literal verbal argument. You can see the video. Look at that.
Yeah, and there was also Benny Gantz speaking last night in a South community which got closed down because of violated elections.
Right.
But there are a lot of issues. Shanna, thank you so much for coming in. All right, in other news, it turns out that elections were nearly delayed in the name of war with Hamas in Gaza. After abruptly halting both a Likud and Blue and White campaign rally under threats of rockets, Prime Minister Netanyahu called on his cabinet ministers to approve a massive operation against Hamas, which the premier knew would likely lead to a retaliation just days ahead of the vote.
And he gave the command while on his way to Moscow for landmark meetings with Russian President Putin. But it turns out that Netanyahu's directives were ignored because he didn't include apolitical security officials in the discussion.
In fact, IDF commanders were the first to reject their orders, instead informing Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit of the situation. And then Mandelblit, in turn, informed Netanyahu that his verbal consent over the phone alone was not enough to take the country to war. Rather, according to Mandelblit, Netanyahu would have had to convene top security officials from the IDF and other security branches for an in-depth analysis on the effects of such a move.
So with just a few days left before elections, Netanyahu gave in and rescinded his orders. Still, though, while the opposition blasts Netanyahu for using war as a political gambit, right-wing leaders like Naftali Bennett say that Hamas's rocket attack on a prime minister's rally is a great humiliation that needs to be addressed.
And likewise, Netanyahu reiterated that no matter what, Hamas will need to be removed from power sooner or later.
As Israel anxiously awaits the results of today's election count, we can't help but imagine possible scenarios that will play out. The real question is, though, will Likud and the 3 or possibly 4 other parties that are expected to endorse Prime Minister Netanyahu emerge with a majority of 61 seats?
That's right, because right now, Yamina, United Torah Judaism, and Shas have all endorsed Netanyahu, but here are some possible scenarios for how the elections could play out.
Let's start with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's dream scenario. Likud is voted in as the largest party, and Netanyahu is ensured a 5th term with an unquestionable mandate.
Outcome 2 is that the Blue and White Party is voted in as the largest party, but Netanyahu can still form a coalition because he has a majority of seats with the 3 right-wing and religious parties supporting him.
Netanyahu would still be able to proclaim victory because of his ability to form a coalition, but if his majority were to rely on Otzma Yehudit and a handful of his Likud lawmakers were to rebel against a government with Kahanists, well, Gantz still may have his chance to form a coalition because President Rivlin would have a solid case for giving him the mandate.
And then there's a third scenario that Likud is voted in as the largest party, but there's no majority supporting Netanyahu. In other words, all of the smaller parties supporting him wouldn't get enough seats.
In that case, President Rivlin would have to decide who gets the first opportunity to form a coalition. And given that Netanyahu failed back in April, the chances are high that Rivlin would select Gantz from Blue and White this time around.
Here's our fourth scenario. Let's say Netanyahu isn't able to secure a majority and Blue and White is voted in as the largest party.
This is Netanyahu's biggest nightmare because he will have no claim to victory. In this case, President Rivlin's choice will be clear. Gantz will be given the first chance to form a government.
But even though that would be the case, he wouldn't have a clear path to a coalition of his own because the opposition will consist of Arab and center-right parties that are extremely unlikely to sit in the same government.
Meaning Gantz would have to find some kind of national unity coalition, and of course Netanyahu would be sitting idly by, most likely wanting to serve at least part of the term as prime minister in a rotation agreement.
And last but not least, here is our fifth scenario.
The deadlock.
It is what happened in April, and the polls claim that it could happen again.
Yeah, Netanyahu is stuck on 60 seats, and neither Likud or Blue and White are significantly larger than each other. With no side being proclaimed the winner, then anything can happen at this point.
That's right, and we could see a national unity government, a rotational government, defections.
We could even see a minority government, splits and mergers, indictments, or even a coup within Likud against Netanyahu.
But let's hope for one thing. Let us not see a third election anywhere in early 2020.
And now joining us for more on the elections today are political analyst and former member of the Likud party, Naftali Ben-Simon, and Shai Evan, head of strategy at Ben-Hurin, and Alexandrovich, who led the Blue and White Party's campaign in the last elections. All right, so the first major question we have here is, what are your predictions? What is going to happen today?
Well, I think, we see the voting numbers are really high. I think the voting numbers are really high in the Likud area. And I think tonight, unfortunately, we're going to see Netanyahu reaching the 60, 61 plus edge that he needs in order to form a government.
I totally agree. I think Netanyahu, again, will be nominated as the next prime minister tonight with the polls. And of course, but he will get the invitation from the president because the Gewalt campaign, the urgent campaign that we are losing, it's working emotionally and rationally. And the whole, technology that the Likud party has, they're using everything, all the weapon that they have. It's a mass destruction political weapon, and I think they're doing much better than they show in the media.
Well, so what are some of the primary concerns in the Israeli voter as they enter the polls today?
Well, I think most Israeli voters are voting as some kind of a protest vote. But the thing is that the Likud is doing a very good protest vote against the left, against the Arab, against a lot of things, although they're in power for many years. So it's kind of absurd, but the Yamin voters are going to vote for a protest vote against a lot of things, and that's why they're rushing into the polls. The Israeli left is also voting a protest against Netanyahu, but it's not enough. They're not enough in numbers and not enough in their power in order to change the voting.
It's already 10 years that the main issue of the election in Israel is Bibi or not Bibi.
Right.
For the first time, Lieberman put a very delicate issue on the table, is the issue of religious and the state. This is a very, very fragile and explosive issue. Mm-hmm. And he's very, I don't know, he's very brave politician to put that on the table because nobody wants to touch it. But the most convenient part is to say, oh, Bibi, yes, Bibi, no. So the voters of the Likud party say, we will protect Bibi, we will hug Bibi, and we don't ask him for many questions because we believe him that he's doing well and he has a goodwill against all the media and the politicians and the others. So this is 75% psychological effect, 25% rationality, and it's 100% Likud and Bibi.
Which I know that your next question, Aaron, is probably going to be just about how most of the public wants a centrist government, according to polls. That's what we're seeing. But I mean, I just think it's interesting that we're really not hearing much about the issues in this entire election. Have you noticed that?
No.
What do people care about here? So going back to those polls, why are we seeing this if the majority of people say that they want a more secular government?
There's always differences between what people say they want and what they do. They prefer, a lot of people, the majority of the Israeli public don't want Netanyahu. He only has 30 seats or 35 out of 120, but still is in power. Most people want a secular government, but still they vote Netanyahu, and they don't ask him, why are you doing your coalitions with the ultra-Orthodox as your main partners? There's always those gaps, and I think the person who knows the best what these gaps are is Netanyahu, and he's doing much better work. We've seen the last 3 months that the Gantz campaign, the Kachol Lavan campaign is not really touching new voters. They're staying between their 30 plus votes, and that means that their main goal tonight is to reach again the 35.
So do you believe that there's any chance of going maybe back to a third election?
No way. No, don't.
I don't want to jinx it.
No, nobody think about it. But
I don't want you to pass out in the studio with just the mention of that.
No, it's not a circus. It's a state to run,
sure.
And a very complicated state like Israel. So it's no third election, but there is a chance that maybe part of the left, like Amir Peretz or others, will join Netanyahu in a larger government.
So you think there is still hope for a unity?
Of sorts.
A mini unity.
A mini unity coalition. Well, yeah, I mean, what is your take on that?
Well, I think and it's probably going to be a very bad night for me and for the Israeli left, but I think Netanyahu will reach the 60, 61 plus, so he won't need Amir Peretz, he won't need any other partners, and he can form a government by himself.
Yeah.
I hope it will not happen.
Who would he choose?
He will take the ultra-Orthodox.
Yeah, he will take Amir Peretz just to relax, just to balance and...
So we'll have 65, 66.
Yes.
These are the numbers, but he won't need Lieberman. If he will need Lieberman, he will not be the next prime minister,
yes.
And unfortunately, I don't think that will be the case tonight.
And you're sure Rivlin will do everything with his power to kind of make sure that happens, that there is no more elections?
There's not going to be
I think Aaron's just hoping that's what everyone's going to tell me.
I think I speak for everyone when I say that we hope for that.
We've had enough of this.
Thank you so much.
In this case, the army will interfere.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, while Israelis are anxiously awaiting the results of this landmark vote, the Palestinians, both in Gaza and in the West Bank, say that they feel like they lose either way. In fact, a new poll shows that upwards of 2/3 of the Palestinians feel that the elections will result in either no change or negative changes.
مش هيتغير شيء، يعني حتى لو اجى المنافس لنتنياهو رايح يعمل فينا ازود من نتنياهو، او شو متوقعينه من نتنياهو راح يجي ازود، لان اللي بيحكم اسرائيل اليوم اليمين المتطرف مش حدا ثاني.
ايش بدهم يقدموا لي؟ بدهم يقدموا لي فرص عمل، يعني يطلعوا عمال تشتغل في اسرائيل؟ لا، بدهم الدعايه الانتخابيه تبعت التنين حرب جديده على غزه.
Well, with the campaigning the way it's been, these feelings are fairly legitimate. Prime Minister Netanyahu did attempt to launch a large-scale attack on the Hamas terror organization in Gaza after Palestinian rocket fire from the Strip interrupted his campaign rally last week. He also announced in typical campaign fashion that he intends to extend Israeli sovereignty to Israeli settlements in the Jordan Valley, along with the old city of Hebron and other select outposts. Then on the other hand, the other top two candidates, Gantz and Lieberman, aren't offering a much better reality. Former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, for example, has long called on the defense establishment to take out Hamas and instill stricter security measures against the Palestinians in response to continuous assaults against southern communities and lone wolf attacks against civilians. And Blue and White, with 3 former IDF chiefs of staff in the leadership, is also assumed to hold heavy-handed views by many Palestinians. PA Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh then seems to have captured the Palestinian feelings best, saying that choosing between Netanyahu and Gantz is as inconsequential as choosing between Pepsi and Coca-Cola. So here at ILTV, we wanted to get ahead of the curve and see if we could figure out who the next prime minister would be before everybody else. And Natasha, you headed over actually to the home of a very special person here in Israel who many vow can see the future.
Yeah, that I did. Take a look and take it with a grain of salt. Over the last couple of years, election polls in Israel have been less and less accurate. So today we're meeting with Sana, one of the most famous psychics in all of Israel, to help us see who the next prime minister will be.
בגיל אפס הייתי רואה את הדברים. הייתי רואה הרבה דמויות, הייתי קטנה, הייתי מפחדת. ביבי נתניהו, הנה עומד פה, הוא מלך העולם, הדרכים הולכים טובים לפניו. כל שנה אני גודלת עוד ומתחזקת עוד בזה. יש לו פה דברים טובים שהולך לעשות, שהוא יעשה הרבה שלום. אני פותחת בכדור גדולה, שאף אחד בעולם לא פותח את זה, רק סנה. כל כך שפגעו בו, וזה לא היה צדק, אבל עכשיו יהיה צדק. וזה הקפה שלי שאני פותחת בו לכל העולם, וזה הקלפים. נעשה גם שלום בהרבה מדינות ערב, בכל מקום. שכאילו היום הוא רוצה לעשות את זה ברצינות, גם זה חרטה, זה הכוח שלי. כל אלה שאומרים לך, אנחנו לומדים וזה, אל תאמיני, כי זה לא נכון. כי אם זה לא בא מפה, מלמעלה, חרטה, הכל לא נכון.
All right, Lieberman now. What is going to happen with the religious parties?
ליברמן לא יהיה בממשלה. הנה. לא, ולא, ולא.
Now, what about Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas?
התפקיד שלו הוא חרא, יושב על הכיסא, לא עוזר לעם שלו, לא נותן כלום, רק בונים בתים, בונים פה, לוקחים כספים, זורמים לפה, זורקים לפה. גם מצד יהודים, גם מצד ערבים. למה כל השטויות האלה? צריך שזה אחר.
איך ביבי יעבוד איתו?
ביבי קומבינטור, יעבוד עם כל המדינה. ביבי מכל העולם הוא חבר טוב, הוא עוזר לכולם, הוא יודע איך לעשות סדר בחיים שלו, תסתכלו.
חמאס ימשיכו בעזה?
חמאס ימשיך בעזה, אבל עזה גם יהיה לה עוד מעט דרך טובה, יהיה שלום, יהיה דברים שאנשים יעבדו, יהיה כספים, יהיה הכל.
Will Hamas end up working with the Palestinian Authority?
והם צריכים להתעורר שתי אלה, גם זה וגם זה. ויש דברים כאלה שהולך להיות טוב.
מתי זה יקרה?
זה יהיה ב-2020.
Who is going to be the next prime minister, Netanyahu or Benny Gantz?
מלך העולם, ביבי נתניהו. מנסים להכשיל אותו, לא יעזור. עובר קשיים, לא יעזור. אנשים רוצים להפיל אותו, לא יעזור. יש הרבה רוצים להפיל אותו, לא יעזור להם. והוא מלך העולם.
Trump and Bibi, what will be the future of their relationship?
הם צריכים להיות ביחד, כי יש להם הצלחות גדולות ביחד. אני מצדי, אני לא אוהבת אותו. אין לי איתו כלום, אני גם לא אוהבת אותו בכלל. הוא לא עושה כלום. אבל הוא חזק, אבל לא צריך להיות חזק ולהיות גם מטומטם.
Natasha, who is this woman?
All right, so Sana is a psychic. She's half Jewish. She's half Bedouin. She's raised in the south of Israel, and she's been telling fortunes since she was a child. But to be honest, it kind of felt like she was mixing in her own opinion on this specific
Maybe
topic.
just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, every Israeli seems to have an opinion, and she certainly loves Netanyahu from what you can see here. But she's frequently on Israeli media. She's telling what she believes to be the future. People, Israeli media, they're bringing her onto TV. They believe it.
Like us.
Like we did, yes. we decided to, follow the Israeli media a little bit. Well, we are. But what can I say? She was adamant when she said that she believed that Netanyahu was going to be the next prime minister.
Well, listen, if she's right, then I know where I am going next week to ask her about where I'm going to go get my next puppy.
Yes.
And, listen, after our last conversation here in the studio, she might be onto something. So
we will see, guys. We'll see if Sana was right.
We will. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be partly cloudy and warm with a low of 72 or 22 degrees Celsius. Then tomorrow is expected to be sunny with a rise in temperatures. The high will be about 89 or 32 degrees Celsius.
And that's it for today's news, but we have a live tonight, our live election special. Today's exchange rate is 3.56 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. I'm Natasha Kirchak.
And I'm Aaron Porras. Thank you so much for watching.
And don't forget to tune in 9:45 p.m. for our live election special on Facebook.